Hello viewers, welcome to the Editorial Analysis by Dristhi IAS. In this section, we regularly take editorials from various newspapers and news portals for a better understanding of various issues happening in India and around the globe. In this section, we first try to link the editorial with our UPSC syllabus, then we go analytical in order to understand some key points and at last some important concepts. Dear viewers, we truly hope that you like this initiative taken by Drishti IAS and your feedbacks are important for us. So kindly feel free to give your important feedbacks in the comment section. So without any further delay, let's commence our session.
Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
Today's editorial is taken from the Indian Express, published on 16th of November 2020. The title of today's editorial is Fertile Opportunity. If we try to summarize today's editorial, we can say that clearing the dues of fertilizer companies is a good step, provided it leads to overhaul of the existing subsidy regime. If we try to link today's editorial with our UPSC syllabus, we can link it with GS Paper 3 and primarily with the section that includes Indian agriculture, which has major cropping pattern in various parts of the country, different type of irrigation systems, storage, transport and marketing of agricultural produce, issues and related constraint, e-technology in the aid of farmers, also issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies, minimum support price, etc. Some key points from today's editorial: by allocating an additional 65,000 crore towards fertilizer subsidy for 2020-21 over and above the already budgeted rupees 71,309 crore, the Narendra Modi government has ensured two things. Now, it should be noted that the government has allocated an extra amount of 65,000 crore towards fertilizer subsidy. And this is actually above the budgeted subsidy, which was 79,309 crores. So definitely, this initiative taken by the Narendra Modi government has ensured two very important things. Number one, the first is fully covering the current fiscal's estimated subsidy requirement of 80,000 to 85,000 crores. The first objective which the government has achieved, that is, they have covered the present years, the current fiscal year's subsidy requirement of around 80,000 to 85,000 crore rupees. And second, the past subsidy dues of around 48,000 crores have also been cleared. The wiping out of all outstanding payments to the industry is important, especially in the content of the recently approved production-linked incentive scheme for a host of sectors. Now, this initiative of actually clearing all the outstanding payments to the industry is very important because the kind of initiative the government has taken in the recent time, especially with the coming up of a scheme like PLI, which is the Production Linked Incentive Scheme, it actually motivates the sector, it motivates the industry when government takes such initiatives that all the outstanding previous payments have been cleared. The success of the PLI program, which seeks to attract manufacturing investment by offering cash incentives totaling around rupees 2 lakh crores over 5 years on incremental sales, rests on the government's credibility in honoring its payment commitments. Like we have already discussed in one of our previous videos regarding the PLI, that government actually is focusing upon the manufacturing industry and it is trying to attract manufacturing investment by offering cash investments up to 2 lakh crore rupees over a duration of 5 years. Now, it is very important when government has taken the decision of clearing all the outstanding payments. It shows what exactly government is thinking and it makes the credibility of the government also very strong that yes, government actually honors its commitment when it comes to payments. Fertilizer firms are today forced to sell their products at below what it costs to produce or import them. Investors in the other sector too are bound to ask, will a similar fate befall us? What if the promised incentives don't come? The biggest problem is the fertilizer firms are having a tough time today. They are actually forced to sell their produce at a lesser cost what they have incurred during the production of that particular product. So the investors in other sector, they might come up with such questions. Will a similar situation fall upon them as well. What happens if the promised incentives by the government don't come on time? So, government, by taking such initiative of clearing all the dues, have actually strengthened their opinion with reference to that of Atmanirbhar Bharat and the objectives and the schemes which they are presenting. It shows that government is completely committed towards achieving all the goals which they have set. If we talk about present now, that the problem of the fertilizer subsidy areas is hopefully history, the Modi government should focus next on reforms. Now, the problem related to the fertilizer subsidy payments can be called as history. It is time that the Modi government should focus upon some other reforms in time to come. This must go beyond just checking illegal diversion of subsidized material through neem coating urea. See, when we are talking about reforms, it should not be limited only to just checking, okay, what exactly is happening to the urea which is being provided to the farmers, or the illegal trafficking of that particular urea. No, it should not be limited only to this particular domain. Government should focus on one very important thing, that government will release the payments to the company only after the urea which is being sold as said by the company, the urea which is sold to the farmers, and it should be registered on a biometric authentication. That means if a company claims that we have sold a particular amount of urea to those 100 farmers, so there has to be a biometric authentication of all the farmers which can actually certify that whatever records, whatever data the company is providing is actually perfect. Also, government can take one more initiative, that it can even cap the number of urea bags everybody is buying. So, such initiatives are quite required at this point of time. The nutrient-based subsidy introduced more than a decade ago was a very good idea, but it had a very bad fate and it actually failed. Under it, the subsidy on any fertilizer is linked to its underlying nutrient content, be it nitrogen or phosphorus or potash or sulfur or zinc and boron. Now, if I talk about this situation, see, we have to go through some of the important aspects before we understand this entire picture. Fertilizer, they actually accounts for a large fiscal subsidies, almost around 0.73 lakh crores, or you can say 0.5% of the total GDP is given as fertilizer subsidy. But only 17,500 crores, or you can say only 35% of the total subsidy allotted is actually reaching the small farmers. What happens to the remaining 65%? Obviously, it leaks out to black market or the large farmers, and the problem of inefficient production as well. Okay, so it is quite important to understand what initiatives government is taking and how much is actually reaching to the required person. Now, when I'm speaking about the nutrient-based subsidy, under this method, the subsidy is given on the basis of nutrient content in the fertilizer. I'll explain what exactly it is. Suppose government decided it would give 100 rupees subsidy per kg of potash. Now, if cost of a fertilizer which contains 1 kg of potash is 1000 rupees, government will give 100 rupees and the seller would be able to sell it at 900 rupees. Now, government does not fixes the retail price in this particular scheme. Government is actually fixing the price of urea only, not any other fertilizer. Government gives same amount of per kg subsidy to all manufacturers. If the production cost is less, you can sell it lower prices and capture market. Okay, I'll give you one more example how actually inefficiency is actually the biggest problem why we are not able to utilize the scheme. See, so this was about the nutrient-based subsidy. Okay, now in contrast with this, the urea-based subsidy, there is something which actually increases inefficiency. Now, if I talk about the urea-based subsidy, in this particular pattern, the government fixes price of urea. Suppose government fixed urea's price at 500 rupees per kg. Okay, there is a firm called A. It produces 1 kg urea at 700 rupees. So the government will give 200 rupees to that firm A. There is another firm named B. It has produced urea at 600 rupees. So in this case, the subsidy received would be how much? It would be only 100 rupees. It doesn't matter how efficient you are not provided any kind of incentive. So more inefficient you are, more subsidy you will get. Okay, so this is actually why it failed. However, the NBS has failed simply because urea has been kept out of it. The nutrient-based scheme, it failed simply because the urea has been taken out of it. While the government still fixing the maximum retail price of urea, it has hardly raised by 11%. See, in the past 10 years, the price of urea has increased only by 11%, while going up 150 to 300% for other decontrolled fertilizers. Okay, for rest of the other fertilizers, the price has actually gone by 150 to 300%. So automatically this makes urea cheaper and other fertilizers quite expensive, and that's the reason the farmers are preferring the over excessive use of urea. Okay, and this has actually caused soil nutrient imbalance. Now, if we talk about the future ahead, the Modi government should first and foremost bring urea under a nutrient-based subsidy scheme. That would mean increasing its MRP from rupees 5,360 rupees to 9,000 rupees per ton, which roughly corresponds to the per kg subsidy on nitrogen present in other fertilizers. Okay, so when the urea comes under the nutrient-based subsidy scheme, the price of it the MRP will actually increase from 5,360 rupees to 9,000 rupees per ton, and it will almost be equal to rest of the fertilizers which contain nitrogen. The politically smart way to do this is by simultaneously hiking the nutrient-based subsidy scheme for other nutrients, thereby reducing the MRPs of non-urea fertilizers and encouraging their consumption. So the best way would be to simultaneously increase the NBS rates for other nutrients and reducing the MRP of non-urea fertilizers. And government should also focus upon encouraging the consumption of such fertilizers as well. So this is how it can be achieved if government wishes to do the same. Okay, so this was with the editorial analysis today. A question that can be asked from today's editorial, it could be like, due to the economic and environmental implications associated with nutrient-based subsidy for fertilizers, there is an urgent need for a rethink on overall fertilizer subsidy policy in India. Discuss. So viewers, this was with the today's editorial analysis. I hope you liked it. Thank you very much.